Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going to be looking at the absolute bedrock of our entire economy, scarcity and choice. We're going to take some of these massive foundational economic concepts and really ground them in simple everyday realities that we all experience. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is a quick roadmap of what we're covering today. We'll start with the root problem of scarcity, move on to the three big economic questions, visualize choice, talk about shifting curves, allocating resources, and finally wrap up with the economist's toolkit. It's going to be great. All right, section 1, the root problem, scarcity. Let's start right at the beginning with the inescapable reality that every single individual and society on Earth literally has to face. So, when you hear the word economics, what pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's chaotic stock market trading floors, piles of cash, or just really dry, complex banking regulations. But we need to debunk that myth right now. Economics is definitely not just the study of finance. At its absolute core, it's actually the science of everyday choices. And those choices, well, they're driven by one massive defining concept: scarcity. Scarcity is just the fundamental imbalance between our unlimited wants and our severely limited resources. Think about your own daily life for a second. You want a bigger apartment, a brand new car, to travel the world, and to eat out at fancy restaurants all the time. Your wants are, for all intents and purposes, unlimited. But your paycheck? Yeah, that's highly limited. Or think about time. You want to work out, learn a new language, binge watch that new show, and still get 8 hours of sleep. But you only have exactly 24 hours in a day. That right there, that is scarcity in action. Now, what's really fascinating is how we actually define a scarce resource. It's not just about something being limited in quantity. It actually has to be useful and wanted by people. Take a look at this comparison. A huge pile of rotten vegetables is technically limited in quantity, sure, but nobody wants them. They aren't useful, so they aren't an economic resource. On the flip side, what about a specific number of beautiful flowers sitting in a nursery? Those are highly desired, and there's a limited number of them. Therefore, they're economically scarce. To have an economy, things have to have value and they have to be in short supply. Section 2. Three big economic questions. So, if we accept this somewhat harsh reality, that we cannot possibly have everything we want because of scarcity, how does the society actually decide what to make? Well, that exact dilemma forces every single society to answer three central questions. First, what to produce. We simply don't have enough resources to make everything, so we got to be selective. If we decide to make more consumer electronics, we might have to make fewer cars. Second, how to produce. Do we use a labor-intensive technique with lots and lots of human workers, or a capital-intensive technique using mostly heavy machinery and robots? And third, for whom to produce. Once we finally make the goods, who actually gets to take them home? These three questions really form the beating heart of any economic system. Section 3. Visualizing Choice, the PPC. Now that we know the big questions we're up against, let's introduce the ultimate tool economists use to visualize and solve this entire dilemma of scarce resources. Okay, I want you to look at this table and just imagine for a second that you are a factory manager. You have a set number of workers, a specific amount of raw materials, and a factory floor. If you put literally all your resources into making computer monitors, look down at combination 7. It shows you can make 30 of them, but you make exactly 0 LEDs. But let's say the market suddenly demands LEDs. To make just 10 of them, like we see in combination 5, you have to pull workers and materials away from the monitor assembly line. So your monitor production drops down to 27. You lost 3 monitors just to gain those 10 LEDs. That sacrifice, the exact thing you had to give up, is what economists call the opportunity cost. It's exactly like choosing to give up an hour of sleep to get an hour of studying done. You simply can't have both. And this brilliantly illustrates that exact same table, but transformed into a visual graph. This curve is called the production possibility curve, or the PPC. The x-axis represents our computer monitors and the y-axis represents our LEDs. See that solid curved line? That is our absolute maximum potential. It's the frontier. Every single point on that curve represents a combination where our factory manager is using every single worker, every single machine, and every scrap of material with perfect 100% efficiency. Let's look a little bit closer at the specific points plotted out here. See point A kind of hanging out inside the shaded area? That point is totally feasible, but it's inefficient. If our factory is operating at point A, it basically means we've got machines sitting idle or workers with absolutely nothing to do. We're actively wasting resources. Now, points B and C, which sit directly on the line, that is maximum efficiency. We are firing on all cylinders there. But look way out there at point D, out in the unshaded area. Point D represents a totally impossible dream with our current resources. We simply do not have enough materials or workers to reach that level of production right now. Moving on to section 4, efficiency and shifting curves. But wait, what if our reality actually changes? What happens to our factory, or heck, even an entire country, if we suddenly acquire a bunch of new resources, or, on the flip side, suffer a massive disaster? Well, the PPC is not frozen in time. On the left side here, you see the curve shifting outward, moving to the right. This represents real economic growth. If we invent better technology, if we train our workers to be more skilled, or maybe discover a brand new source of energy, our capacity literally increases. That impossible point D from the last slide, it might suddenly become totally possible. But on the right, we see the curve shifting inward, to the left. This is a tragic scenario. This is what happens when a country experiences a devastating natural calamity, a war, or massive population loss. Capital and resources are destroyed, and the total capacity of the entire economy shrinks. Section 5. Allocating our scarce resources. Okay, so we know our limits, and we know how they can change over time. Now let's move from how much we can produce to the specific types of goods a society actually chooses to prioritize. This brings us to a really crucial point: understanding the difference between private goods and public goods. Private goods operate on what's called the principle of exclusion. If you want a new smartphone or even just a cup of coffee, you have to pay the market price. If you don't pay up, you are excluded from enjoying it. It's that simple. Public goods, however, are beautifully indivisible. National defense is the classic textbook example here. You can't put a price tag on Hey, everyone.